I had to think of something that I struggled with when I was younger, aside from like the normal subjects you deal with in school. The first thing that comes to my mind is the idea of following your dreams or setting goals. Now, while I had multiple different ideas in my head of what I wanted to be when I grew up, and specifically like regarding not like going in without thought, really. That's the best way to put it. Is like, oh yeah, if this career seems interesting, I'm gonna take it. But for the others, it was like, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, or they're gonna change regardless. And I wasn't really sure of what I wanted to do until specifically high school. And even then, I still had changes. We started off with welding. That was something that I was really interested in doing. I made a really impressive project that a lot of people still talk about to this day in that class. And if it wasn't welding, then the next thing on the list would be carpentry. I also took carpentry and that class was, I guess, I had more enjoyment from that class than I did with the automotive and welding or whatever you want to classify their class as. But yeah, I'd say making a birdhouse for like the second time, it seemed interesting, and it seemed like something that was like it could be used as, I guess, a hobby, but it could also be used as like, you could put that to good use when it comes to like actual working. And then I would say it had been around, definitely around sometime at the beginning of last year, specifically. I dealt with a situation that, not a lot of people really like dealing, or no one wants to deal with this. This is like one of the worst things you could possibly experience. But having to have a very deep conversation with a friend kind of went in an opposite direction when everything became fine after that, yes, but being told, or someone told me about the idea of empath. And while it's not an idea that it's not something I can still understand, it's been since I've heard the term used in different contexts and through YouTube videos and random people. It's still something that sticks by me when it comes to specific situations I've dealt with over the years and even up till now. I decided that with the use of, or considering that I have a talent that no one else is really familiar with, or some people are familiar with it, other people either don't believe in it, or like they're still not sure regarding it. I thought that the first thing in mind was to be a social worker. And considering that I didn't really have a positive experience with the one that I actually met, anyone else that I've talked with regarding like mental health awareness, or the my mind's drawing a blank. I think it's the Ride the Wave campaign. Essentially, there are people that I want to follow in their footsteps, rather than the mental health, quote unquote, like the support workers or whatever that are in our schools. I'd rather fall into like the actual like organizations and like the mental health like programs, like like college level wise, not get away from the high school side. And while I can't say exactly I fully understand the idea of chasing your dream, this is something developing and then chasing the dream is how I would put this. But regardless, if this spoke to you, then you'll understand this portion of the video. If not, then you'll understand the next portion of the video. Regardless of how you look at dreams, goals in life, the biggest thing is that there's a difference between, you know, setting or dreaming something so obscure that, you know, people will bat an eye, yes, and even they'll even, like, you know, they'll tell you that you won't be able to achieve whatever goal. Not even going as far as saying that, like, you know, it's almost like you might as well give up trying, or give up. And then even on their end, it's like, well, you know, you told me to dream something, and then this is what I'm dreaming. And then people tell you to dream smaller. And for the sake of, I guess, me, when I was in grade 8, I was told that I was told by the school that they suggest that I go to probably one of the worst rated schools in my town, considering that they labeled me as a troublemaker even though I didn't do anything wrong. And when I talked bad about, like, you know, when I basically called people out for what they did, that was like, the school didn't really see a future for me. And then when I finally, you know, it felt good coming back and, like, or going back to the old school before it closed down, just to, like, you say, like, hey, yeah, I'm still going to my local school. I'm not changing. And that's the way how I look at chasing a dream, really. They put you down. If you say, like, you know, I'm going to go to this school, I'm going to, like, you know, basically find myself, really. As much as that's cheesy to hear, I feel like that's the best way to put it. If I'm going to go to the school, I'm going to find myself. And they're going to tell you, like, no, you might as well take, like, the easy road and, you know, go to a smaller school and develop, like, and, like, you know, find yourself there where there's less, I guess, content that you'll be able to observe and, like, you know, absorb. Well, I technically absorbed, I guess you could say, like, you know, honestly, like, I like history, I like welding, I like carpentry, I like art, photo editing, music producing. I like all this stuff, and for the most part, I'd say half of it came from school, half of it came from at home. So in the midst of things, don't always, like, you know, don't always take the front door, don't always take the back door. Sometimes you will have to look for the side door, or the side door will develop on its own. And that concludes the first portion of the video. Alright, so the next portion of this video is going to be, it's specifically made for those that haven't really, they don't have a goal, or they don't have goals in their life, or they don't have a specific goal, or they haven't really found that goal. It can work different ways, but this whole exercise will be meant for the people that haven't really established their goals yet, or are struggling to reach them, if they don't know how to actually reach their goal as well. This is gonna be kind of like a dreaming exercise, but it's also like, it's gonna be also like a mixture of like a motivational talk, I guess you could say. It's complete improv, so just roll with it. So I want you to visualize your head, or brain specifically, as like a GTA garage with 10 cars. We're not going to use the 10 car example, but we're going to use, like, you know, multiple different dreams or goals in your head. And there's 3 different levels for those goals. The one being the one that's very outlandish and almost unrealistic, to the point where, like, you don't think it's possible to reach, which would be your free car, any car you've gotten for free. The second one being your, I guess you could say, your average goal, which would be, like, you know, a mid-range vehicle, primarily, I would say, like, you know, about under a mil. And your most important goal is your most expensive car, or cars, however you want to look at it. So the examples that I have used, I'm going to use to start off with, here is this terrible machine. This is a Jeep that I got for free off the wheel, and honestly, I didn't cheat to get this one bit. I just got it right off the bat, and it sucks. And if I had to compare a goal in life, or even a remotely, I guess, a dream that I would not be exact, where I wouldn't really expect to reach, is getting everyone that I've screwed things up with to forgive me, or to make things right. I feel like that's the strongest strongest example I could use, considering that. And even like, I would go as far as saying, like, even people that have really screwed me over, and while I do, like, you know, I forgive everyone, the chances of actually, you know, there's a difference between, I can say, like, you know, I forgive you, but I can also tell you, like, you know, I forgive you, go away, and I don't want you back in my life. This also applies for those people as well. Now, you might be asking, okay, this seems like a really, like, heavy goal that you've reached. Like, why would you put it as, like, you know, your weakest link? And I would tell you that the way I focus when it comes to, I guess, keeping people in my life, I don't let the negatives affect me too much. In fact, like, regardless of what I've said in my previous videos, the majority of anything that, you know, I've been upset about or whatever is strictly my doing. No one else has to blame for it. And then afterwards, the other thing that I mentioned, like, you know, the people that, like, you know, I accept their apology and then I don't care for them anymore. Well, it's not a story I can really get into, but that is something that happens off the channel, off screen, off camera. I have not mentioned it because it's not going to be mentioned on the channel. And like I said before, it is something that I don't think about, and it doesn't bother me much, so that's why I consider it as cheap as this pile of junk. The second thing, I have two examples here, and while while one kind of stretches the point I made previously, I think it still stands. The Tropos Rally is my favorite car in the game because I find it reliable, I find it fast, and I can use it for everything. Now, while, you know, I could have worded that better, I consider my Tropos Rally my best friend. My best friend is everything that, you know, I look for in a person, and there's no negatives about this car, and there's no negatives about my best friend. And the reason why I consider it a goal, or, you know, a dream that I've reached, is because I had to go out of my way and find and basically make friends with this person, or with my best friend. I never saw them before, and then I just ended up striking a conversation, and then we ended up going out for lunch. That's all there really is to it. And honestly, the history with this car is that I just like driving it, and that's why I bought it. It's, again, like I said before, it's kind of a goal it's kind of stretches the line of what I've said, like, you know, with sports cars and like medium range cars, but I consider this my favorite thing in the entire world, just like I consider my friend my favorite thing in the entire world. Now, the last thing is a very, very special thing. This, obviously, my Deluxo is my most expensive car. Yes, yeah, I was gonna say technically, but I'm pretty sure it is. I actually spent more money on the upgrades than I did for the actual car because I got the car off the wheel. Now, yes, I am stretching it because I didn't pay for this car, but I paid almost like 8 million or whatever for the upgrades. With the, the MOC and the weapon upgrades and everything. And I would like to consider this. This is a part. This is a part where I haven't mentioned this at all really, but my biggest goal in life that I finally achieved was basically getting out of my comfort zone. And this is more special. I do I do consider my best friend like, my favorite thing in the entire world. This is something that, like, this is the biggest goal that I've looked forward to reaching since grade 8. And while, yes, I could, reminisce about what happened over the years, what I went through, the biggest thing that I wanted to do was talk to Amber, and I finally ended up stabilizing a connection between us, whether it be she's helping me work on the book, or whether it be we'll end up becoming friends. That's besides the point. The biggest point is that I ended up finally getting out of my depressed shell and talking to someone that I wanted to talk to for a long time. And while there's not a whole lot I can really say about the car, basically, I got the car off the wheel. I technically had almost the right amount of money to buy the upgrades, but that's besides the point. I spent 8 million on the car, and I spent all of my energy and just everything that I needed to finally be able to become, I guess, I don't want to say that I changed just because I managed to talk to someone I wanted to talk to for a while, but it's a highlight. It's like, it's the main reason why people have their something like on a plaque, or not a plaque, something hung up on their wall, and then people ask them like, oh, why do you have like this object on the wall? It's like, oh, this is the first. I would have a picture of the friggin' Deluxo on my wall just so I could say that, yes, this is the number one goal in life I wanted to achieve, and I finally achieved it. And I'm satisfied. I can't say exactly I'm happy, because I'm not. Being happy is something completely different between, being satisfied for my sake. But yes, I reached the number one goal in my life, and the number one thing that I knew that once everything would be done and over with, not to say that I'm gonna stop working for something higher, but it's something that has just changed me, and it changed me for the better. That's all I can really say. Well, I can't exactly say, everybody's going to get the good ending in the end. You have to work towards the good ending, and you have to, I have my mental health playlist. I'm going to refix the other videos so you can go back and refer to these. But the whole point of this is just so you can understand that, if you work hard for it, you'll get it in the end. As long as, within reason and within, doing it the right way. Because I can't say that, while there was better ways to do things that I did, there was also my obstacles, which everybody's going to go through. The obstacle that I had to go through to get my friggin' 8 million or whatever, I had to grind out missions. And that's how that's how I obtained all my dreams, my goals, and my cars. And the one thing I want to end off in is yes, as well, I did use, like, I guess you could say, um, I guess a wealth-based example, even if it video game related or not. I feel like it works towards what I feel like it works as a good comparison. You can disagree all you want, but I literally just came up with this last night, and yeah, I wanted to make this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Uh, Share it if with anybody that, like, if you know that if they're struggling with, like, reaching their goals or developing goals or whatever. Yeah, that's all. Peace.